It's time for Q&A The Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and piercers talk about some of the more common questions, and these ones, the more uncommon questions that those that collect tattoos and piercings ask. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Today's panel is the three of us. It's Jimmy St. John from the Skin Kitchen, tattoo artist. Next to me is Jack Lowe, owner, operator, and tattoo artist of the Skin Kitchen. And then there's me, DaVo, body piercer at the Axiom and the owner. We're going to do another viewer question here. It was the second one that they submitted. Lupe Rodriguez asked, what's something you wish clients would stop doing? Yeah, we're going to try not to turn this into a general...
bitch fest.
Yes, that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Well, two words for it.
Well, when a client, does do something, obviously not meaning to most of the time, I don't think. You were there once, too. There was the first time you were in a tattoo shop when you didn't know anything and really how the
etiquette.
the etiquette and how it works. So I try to remember that and treat them, like they're me,
exactly.
Being a noob.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of a fine line of making it sound like you're bitching, but we're not,
we're not gonna bitch.
It's
we're
more
a little bit.
We understand that it's uncomfortable. You don't quite know what's going on. You don't know the protocol. And even if you do know it for one shop, another shop might be different. And it can be,
and circumstances in life might,
So yeah, this isn't a way for us to complain. No. It's a way for us to help you feel more comfortable and get more out of your experience.
Have a better experience and help your clients.
That being said, you motherfuckers.
And a lot of this can be solved by simply calling ahead and asking the person who works at the phone whether or not it's okay, or asking your artist if it's okay.
Whatever it may be.
I'm going to start it out with if you're getting tattooed or pierced, limit the amount of people that are coming with you.
Yeah, don't bring the whole entourage.
I generally suggest 2. More than that, and it's insane and annoying.
And those 2 preferably be of age instead of like 3.
Yes, if you have a child that would normally need daycare, no, don't bring them. I've had clients, it's too much of a distraction. You need to be focusing on what you're getting done. It's not fair, not only to your artist, but to the other people getting art done that day or piercing done. Especially if the child gets in here and goes, oh, this stimulation and I can't touch any of it.
Yeah.
And they start freaking out.
It's really, you're doing it for you because it's only going to take focus and time, away from your artist and your tattoo. And that's why you're there. And we know, life happens. You have a kid, you got to but it's for the best outcome of your tattoo to limit the, distractions that you can bring to the situation. So there's enough going on with moving and all kinds of other things that can enter the picture. But bringing a little tornado of awesome in here, it can be distracting.
Yeah, it's definitely another hurdle.
And don't bring your 8-year-old to watch your 3-year-old, because that is not going to work.
It can. I've seen some well-behaved kids be able to wrangle other kids, but it's still distracting because it's not a perfect science, and we have no way of telling if your 8-year-old is basically a 32-year-old,
right?
And can wrangle kids. But it's just best. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes there'll be one you'll barely know it's here, but it's the ones that you do know that are here that ruin it for all the other good ones. Really.
And maybe it's a good, if they're curious, that's what children are, and you want you want to share parts of your life with your children.
Well, and keep in mind it's an adult thing. It's a tattoo studio and piercing studio.
Thing.
So like even if you're 20 years old, when you come in and look through the books and there happens to be a picture of a penis or a vagina or boobs, don't smack all your friends and giggle and stomp your feet on the floor and act like it's the first time you're in grade school and you ever saw a nudie man.
And if that is going to be your reaction, then you probably don't belong in here.
Probably.
And
but
you're probably, there's a possibility the person standing right next to you may have 3 or 4 of that particular
or getting it done,
and you are offending them.
Right. And I do encourage, though, again, without mass incursion of everyone if you've got it'll happen often enough, I guess, to where I'm tattooing dad and their 11-year-old or 9-year-old or whatever's in art and is really fascinated with tattooing, and they just want to come in for a few minutes, not even really ask questions, but just check it out. It's a totally new experience, and that's fine. And if they're with somebody, it's gonna go, okay, we're gonna go bowling and we're gonna grab a hot dog and we'll see you in a couple hours. Sweet. That's I bring it on. I love to answer kids' questions and see the look on their faces and
absolutely
let them know we're not all scary monsters in here,
And see, that's the key is you've got to understand your kid has a short, how long they can usually focus on something.
Yeah.
You raised them. And that doesn't make you a bad parent if they can't. But you have to make accommodations for that.
I'm an adult, and I don't want to sit with my buddy for 7 hours while they get tattooed. It's boring after a while.
Yeah, it's not a spectator sport at all.
Yeah.
They're
boring.
There are those people that do it.
Yeah,
and
God love them.
And they sit there nice and quiet, and they cater to the client and make sure they're comfortable. But I couldn't do it.
Me neither. I couldn't do it either. So
just, bring your iPad, bring your headphones, bring a snack, or be ready to run for some. Be ready to entertain yourself, really, and hang out, because there's not blood and guts and screaming and
I
no fun to watch.
That's a good one too.
That let the kid visit for a little
Absolutely.
while.
Yeah.
Don't not the whole day.
I think the best, the more positive experiences they can have, and that has anything to do with tattooing, only benefits everybody who has something to do with tattooing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to.
And I think it's cool that people bring their iPads and their phones to keep them busy, and that's great. I encourage it. But just remember, we're playing music in our studio. We're conversating with the other artists in our room, the clients. If you want to watch TikTok or whatever it is you want to watch, that's great. Please bring headphones, because if you have it at full volume and it's somebody screaming on a TikTok video out of nowhere, it's just like having a baby screaming in your ear. It'll make me jump. It takes me by surprise. I'm not expecting it. We
all accidentally open up our phone and
that happens. But when you watch it for 30, 40 minutes to an hour, come on, dude.
Yeah.
It's loud.
And nobody wants. And this is to the people who didn't know that their phone only has speakerphone.
Yes.
But you can talk to your friends and family without it on speakerphone. It can be done. Depends on your model. I would refer you to your owner's manual. Turn it off, frickin' speakerphone. I don't care what your conversation is.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
It's a private conversation. Keep it that way.
And also, even when you're video chatting or you're FaceTiming, you can put headphones in.
The kids love the FaceTime.
Yeah,
man. Even though they don't look at each other, they put them on and then just put the phone in their lap, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
really?
I've done.
Yeah, why? Or they're not
free?
Or they're not looking at each other or nothing. I'm like, what are you doing?
Had that experience? I've had people come in, and I at first I don't notice it because I don't allow people to film me piercing because I don't want that to encourage anybody to try to do it themselves.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't think that's as big of an issue with tattooing because there's too much involved with it
going on,
especially equipment wise. But any fool can go on Amazon. Please don't and buy a piercing needle and start doing whatever they want.
Poking some holes.
So they'll come in and they're doing this while I'm trying to talk to them. And then they put it on their lap and they fill out the form and everything. And then they start holding the phone up like this while I'm trying to pierce it.
They're in selfie,
and it's like
mode.
I'm like you're not going to be able to get an angle. It's not good. And they'll go, oh no, I'm just FaceTiming so and so.
Yeah,
they wanted me to FaceTime the whole thing, and it's like
it's not distracting.
No, I'm sorry, that's too much distraction. Please put the phone down.
Yeah,
because your hand is going to be in my way.
It's
not only that, it's attached to you. You're moving your whole body when you move it.
Yeah, that's
I was trying to mark a navel the other day, and the girl was doing that. I'm like, put your arms down by your side. Well, I can't because I'm FaceTiming.
And we would much rather, on the tattoo side, on the piercing side, there's like this big build up to this critical moment that passes quickly in most cases, and then there's a rapid decline to clean up, finish up, and then you get a bunch of information to make sure that you can take care of it. Where tattooing is a lot longer period, there's a lot of little stops and goes and everything else, and we would much rather have a client go, hey, do you mind if I, tape just for, like a little bit, and I'd be like, yeah, awesome, no problem, just be still, I don't care what you do. And it's great, and they do it in a manner where it's not like I'm a distraction to them,
right?
And that because you're showing that I know this might be, although it might be far fetched, but it could be a distraction. I could see how it could be. Do you mind? And that just recognition that it could be a distraction. Lets me go. Okay, that.
Yeah, you're trying. You're not trying to.
You're recognizing it. So what? Yeah, just be cool, and they always are. Yeah. And some people almost just don't even. It doesn't even enter their
I had a
pattern.
I guess one time that was like, we're friendly. I've tattooed on them several times, and they were excited from not seeing me for a while, and they were just like, I'm trying to tattoo them, and they're like, look, I got a new dog, and look at it, and like, and like, I'm like, that's great, but I mean, after like the 18th picture, like, I'm trying to tattoo you, man.
Yeah,
sit still and quit pulling me up to a camera picture.
And there is people that kind of get lost in their story and almost forget they're getting tattooed.
Yeah.
And then and it's a really tricky thing on our side, or at least on my side, because a lot of times I'm very friendly, and if not friends, very we're having a good time and things are going well and everything. But I'm concentrating on a very technical thing, and it's this big loop that goes over all this terrain or something, and it's kind of a do or die line. It's the kind of line you don't get a second try on, and that seems to be when they have this story to tell, and boy, does that other arm just start talking. And when it's hard for me to kind of ruin that moment for them, because a lot of times they're in this kind of story that they wouldn't just tell anyone, or we're having kind of this rapport that's going well, and I have to go, hey, remember me? I'm
digging this story, but you got to be a little more still.
Yeah, and sometimes they kind of get like, oh, don't yell at me. I mean, it almost makes you feel bad. It's like, hey, I get it, but man, at the end of the day, what's more important?
Yeah, this
that I understand your story, or I don't screw this up.
Right.
Which is going to be the thing you remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, look, that little blip that recorded in time. That time you were telling me that story, right there. It was recorded. Right there.
There we go. But and that's why, like, when I need to ask you guys something or I always kind of stand at the door for a few seconds to try to figure out exactly where you are in that tattoo thing, because I'm always worried that I'm going to come in there and go, hey, Jack. And it's going to be like, ring.
Yeah. You always wait for when we're breaking and doing a wipe or getting some more pigment.
And I've made that mistake before.
Yeah.
I've come running in the room. Oh my God, guess what came? And they're like, what are you doing?
Like, do keep that in respect.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like, especially if you're filming yourself getting tattooed, you need to check your artist and go, okay, I'm doing this. Is that fine? Is that comfortable for you?
Right.
Because people have ways of working and they have to move their arms very
totally.
Right.
So just check in with your artist. One of my things I've been experiencing lately that just totally, I'm a very patient individual for the most part, and this is one of those things that I just really wish people would stop doing, and that's bringing 5 clients with them that'll have questions. And
I'll be happy to consult, but
while I'm doing the consultation for the initial piercing, the peanut gallery starts asking additional questions while I'm trying, and then I'll try to answer that question, and before I have a chance to finish that, the other one's asking me a completely different question. How overwhelming that is. It's not a press conference.
Right.
You're not shouting things at whoever's in charge and trying to get a quick answer, because a lot of times when people are asking me questions, they're not short answers. It's not yes and no.
Yeah, and trust me, it's not that DaVo doesn't want to explain it to you, because he loves explaining things about it. But he does. He likes to educate people. He doesn't give you a short, dumb answer just to shut you up. He really answers your question.
Right.
So, I can see how that could easily turn into distraction from you going through your routine to make sure you cover all your bases and do a good job when you've got all these people firing questions at you. So I don't usually have to deal with that too much.
No. The equivalent for you guys is the bring the friend for the consultation.
Oh boy.
Well, that or when they're in the chair getting tattooed and they're on the phone with their friends and they got like 5 friends that want to get tattooed that couldn't come. So they're like, well, my friend wants to get an eagle. I'm like, okay, black and gray or color? Oh, I don't know. Let me ask. Okay. Where do they want to put it? Oh, I don't know. Let me ask. How big do they want it? I don't know. Let me ask. Well, this is why we have a consult. And no offense, I'm happy to do it at the end or whatever. But right now, I'm concentrating on your bouquet of flowers on your arm. You're switching gears in my brain, and I can't do that right now.
And I know you're curious. I get it. This is your chance.
Yeah.
To get your questions answered because it's might not be easy, or take the time. Oh, this is easy. Just, hey, when you're there, ask the guy how much this would be.
Right.
But it really doesn't work like that.
No.
And
I'll be happy to answer those questions, but just wait till the end.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. It's kind of like a tour. If you got any questions, hold them to the end, let's get to it before you start answering
questions. And it can be the same, the person you're tattooing could, talk about the next thing they're going to do.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then the next thing you know, you've got it scheduled on your appointment, and you're like, I kind of remember them bringing that up, but I mean, I don't have any notes or really.
Right.
I could only listen so much,
It's kind of hard to write notes while you're tattooing or piercing.
Unless they'll let you just write the notes right on them, but then they have to be there for you to see the note. Or hope that you get that in the photo after the tattoo's done. It really creates way more work for everyone.
Just tell them to pull up their shirt. You can just do a little
It's going to be a little. It's going to be a Post-it note right here.
Yeah, this is going to be my notes. You're not going to understand
funny.
what it means.
Anybody who wants a Post-it note on their arm that you can fill in day to day, and you could just wash it off when you shower.
I have a friend that got that. She got lists. She got these banners on her wrist.
I have seen
it says things to remember.
I want to do a yellow Post-it
note. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, kind of curved. We'll foreshadow. We'll drop shadow it.
3D?
Yeah, we'll do it in 3D.
3D tattooing.
Yeah. So.
I thought of one.
Yeah.
Some customers are overly abundant to try to help. And I appreciate it. But like when I'm moving you where I need you. You trying to figure out where you think I need to be and moving it for me, it kind of messes me up a little bit. And then you have the opposite of that. You have customers that are like, okay, you're tattooing their arm, you need to rotate it over, and you're trying to turn it.
And they fight you.
They're fighting against you, and they're like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I want you to turn your arm like I'm trying to turn it.
Right, like
I'm not arresting you. You ain't going to put your hands behind your back. Just move a little bit.
I think that's in part because it's an unusual situation for most people. Because when you think about it, other than going to see the doctor, maybe because you have a break or
who else touches you and moves you?
Touches you and moves you in those fashions?
And they have to fight that automated response to pull away and to relax when they're getting inflicted, with pain. And you do have those people that kind of unconsciously kind of battle you.
Yeah.
And what can help sometimes is just real kind of gentle nudges and go, all right, just kind of roll. And then they'll
communicate with them.
They'll kind of pay more attention to, what you're doing instead of to go, what's up?
But I get sucked in and I forget to say I'm moving and I try to just kind of rotate it and then they start fighting me and I'm like,
yeah.
Hey, I need to move your arm a little bit. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there's a difference. You can help too much a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times, I just need just this little roll, and it lines up great with
turn all the way
where
around.
I'm balanced and where I need my hand, and then you'll over, and then I'm like, oh, well,
I'm still just as uncomfortable, just the opposite way.
Yeah, exactly. So, what I always tell people is just the more you can relax that part of the body, the better, because it allows us to adjust the elasticity of your skin. It gives us a lot lowering starting coefficient of tension if you're relaxed. And there are some times during the tattoo when we have to use a technique that works a lot better and easier if your skin has more elasticity to it. So we can get to that amount of elasticity a lot easier if you're relaxed and you're more squishy, not like, fupa squishy, but, like relaxed muscle squishy. And, you tensing up or forcing your arm to turn.
Yeah, now it's tight.
Now you've got a different type of surface you're tattooing on, and you don't have as big of a range of what you can do with the skin as easily. So it's kind of a learned way to hold still and be relaxed.
That's something you have to kind of learn
while you're getting drilled on.
Well, you
by
flex
a
and you change the elasticity of the skin. You change the topographical of it, because when you hit a muscle, it bounds up. Well, I wasn't looking at this piece of art with a big bound up muscle in the middle of it.
Yep.
It changes everything.
And plus, when you're tensed up and you have your muscles tensed up like
makes
that,
it worse.
It makes it more a great deal more painful.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
And it's causing more blood to flow into that to pump your muscle up.
That's why they
blood.
have you do that when you're giving blood. They
Right.
in the ball is because
getting it pumped.
And I know it seems like we're just using arm examples, but the same thing is for your
It goes
legs,
for anything.
your back, your stomach.
Anything.
The more relaxed and kind of pliable, because there's a lot of times when we just need to nudge you around just a bit, and a lot of times you can do it with just kind of pulling the skin under where your hand is comfortable to get to it and adjusting tension with the skin. But other times, we're getting into a new area we're going to have to be holding our hand most of the time in a different, so we've kind of got to get you in a different position. And if you're just kind of more pliable and like you're a teddy bear that you can just kind of plop down, really helps a lot.
I use a lot of reference for my customers. I'm like, it's like your face. And I'm like, any motion you make in your face, biting your teeth together, squinching,
moves everything.
Moves that whole canvas.
Yeah.
They look at it and they go, wow. And I'm like, yeah, that's your whole body's like that.
It's one big bag.
If you tighten your stomach out of nowhere all of a sudden and I'm tattooing a long line on your stomach, like you just potentially made this horrible.
Some people are really aware, almost hyper aware, and other people couldn't understand that if you showed it to them.
And that's what's funny to me is some people are like completely opposite.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, oh, let me help you. Like, well, I'm not tattooing the back of your arm. Just relax.
Yeah. It's really true. The one of the easiest ways you can get in your own way is to try to help.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean don't pay attention and not care, but really just be a lump.
Yeah, just kind of like relax and go just numb and still and just relax as you can be.
Yeah, relax. Yeah. Especially if it's an appendage, legs or arms, I just try to kind of crawl out of that part of my body. Like I almost pull out of that, and it's just my leg there or someone else's leg, but it's not mine. It's just dead to me, Well, that always makes me laugh because if you put an armrest under your arm or leg, usually it cuts the blood
your
flow
arm falls asleep.
So he falls asleep, which makes it just perfect, like you're talking about. You can't really mess with it.
Yeah.
Right.
But as soon as it starts doing that, they want to, hold on,
Shake
my arm's asleep. And I'm like, so you want to wake it back up? Like it just got numb.
Right. Please
like, oh, yeah.
And I understand the needles and pins and all that situation.
Me
but
too.
You're not going to lose your arm or your hand.
No, it's not going to fall off.
The worst that's going to happen is your hand might be swollen a bit afterwards because, we're cutting off circulation from time to time when we're pushing on certain parts.
Yep.
And, but it's not going to fall off. The best thing you can do usually for most people, I think, unless it's starting to give you muscle spasms or twitches, is
let it go.
Let it ride, baby. Let it sleep.
Some stuff I almost prefer. I pray for it. I'm like, please just go to sleep.
Right.
So, it's not as intense. Like, just knock it off.
Yeah. I mean, it's only going to make that
sensation
part of your
worse.
Yeah. I mean, I can... Yeah, you're only hurting yourself, people.
Now I got pins and needles. Well, now I got a tattoo over pins and needles. So
right,
and
double messed up.
A lot of this comes down to communicating with your artist directly. Like when my nose itches or I feel like I'm about ready to cough, I always try to tell the person.
Heads up,
so that it's like, and they'll usually go, okay, I need to finish this line, and then you're
oh
free
yeah,
to
okay,
go.
cool, go
hold
ahead.
it that
Whatever.
long.
Yeah.
Instead of, the minute they go to the ink cap, you're like,
yeah.
And then you go back, and you're in an entirely different position.
Right.
Yeah, that reminds me, you mentioned a client you had recently that every single time you lifted,
I dipped,
they would, completely move. And holy crap, that's like shooting at a target. And because you're trying to sight in a rifle, and they move the target every shot you take.
Yeah.
It's like you're never going to sight your rifle in. It's the same thing with, we have this area that we're working on, and it's in our mind's eye, and we're, thinking through the next step as we get and then we got to go, okay, rhythm. It breaks your rhythm. It breaks this movement.
Like if you were writing a paper and I picked your paper up every time you went to like dip your ink
for every word,
every time you wrote a word, and I'm reading it. Okay, that works. Okay, it's like, and give it back to you.
I've watched it happen.
Wait a minute.
I've watched it happen. It's almost like you're playing green light, red light.
I know.
You turn to look away, and they all like.
Well, and they get to go on, what's taking so long? I'm like, well, I'm lost. Every time I turn around, you move it. You're moving my easel with my canvas on it, and I got to figure out where the hell I was.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, sometimes it's just a small little nudge or,
it don't take much.
And if you move out of that every time, and we got to try to find it again every time, and it's only going to slow your hand speed down. It's going to force you to rethink. It's going to,
you're just second guessing yourself now.
Throws those
you can't
ripples
see where you're at.
out.
A pebble in a pond. So
And I don't know if this affects you guys as much, and I'm sure it does on certain parts, is with piercing is people trying to watch what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the equivalent I have with that is it's usually marking anything with people standing, because when you're marking a piercing on the torso, you want the person to stand with their arms by their side, straight up and down, feet together. I will mark one, and then I'll have to, because it's surgical markers. Sometimes you have to kind of run it back and forth to get the ink flowing again, and you'll come back and they're like this.
Yeah.
Or they're looking at it or something. Yeah.
And I have to put them completely back into position again. When they're trying to watch things get pierced, they don't realize that they're fighting me from keeping that piercing straight. The same thing with opening your mouth too much or moving or tensing up. Like, people don't understand when they tense up like this, it moves all that structure in your face. It makes it very difficult, even when you've marked it, to hit that same spot. Plus, it's going to hurt more, and it's going to be more difficult in some cases to get the jewelry in, because that squeezes all that tissue together.
Yeah, it makes it tougher to get through.
Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes they do it tattooing. Like, you're tattooing like a hand, and they're like...
Yeah, like their whole body moves.
Forearms.
Forearms, too. They're trying to see it, and I'm like, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's just
hang tight.
And for years, it would somehow bother me, when people would watch, and I didn't really know why, because it wasn't the fact that they were watching that bothered me. I mean, people watch, but what I finally realized, it's just distracting. It's as simple as that. I'm very focused on something like, say, your pinstripe in a gas tank. Do you think the guy is going to be able to focus as good if there's a person standing
on top of the tank
right there, especially the person who owns the motorcycle is standing right there just waiting to see you do something that they don't understand so they can question you about it.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're not. You can't. You just can't do as good of a job, Right. So it comes down to that. It's just, it distracts the mind and my eye.
That. Like, what are you going to do here? Like, I know, but like, I don't want to go into it right now because I'm thinking something totally different. Like, can you give me a minute till I get to that, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do? But like,
I'm kind of thinking a couple steps ahead about what I'm going to do here to get to there. And
so the equivalent, I've had clients bring in, it's usually a significant other. It's usually a female getting pierced with a male partner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a partner that's more of the...
they're getting it done for them.
Aggressive side of the relationship, and they will literally stand right here. And I'm sitting there, and I'll never forget this. This is years ago. I'm doing a vertical clitoral hood on this girl. It's already marked. Everything's right. And this guy comes over, and literally his face is right here.
Yeah.
I'm doing the piercing here. He's leaned in like this. And for those that are listening, he's basically, his head's in front of mine. And then he's going, "Are you sure that's where you want to put that? I don't know if that's where you should put that."
Like, I don't know. I can't see it.
When I looked in the book, when I looked online, they said it looked differently. And I'm like, how many vaginas do you look at daily? How many vaginas do you interact with? Wait a second. I'm a professional. Why, if you're so much better, why weren't you doing it? But yeah, just having somebody that's overpowering and overzealous. And I've seen people that come in with their significant other to get tattooed that are exactly the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it can be very distracting and off-putting, you don't... It's not that you need to treat your tattoo artist like a god or like they know everything, but treat them like there's someone who is there, is doing what they do for a living, wants to do the best job they can, and probably the less you interfere and question and hound and get in the way of that person, the better they're going to be able to do their job.
Yeah.
And I know part of that comes from people having bad experiences at other places.
And they're gun shy, but that's their issue.
Yeah.
That's why you come
and now
here.
they're letting that experience taint this experience.
Right.
So that's why it's up to you to do your research, ask the questions beforehand, make sure that this is the place. And once you've made that decision, you've made that decision.
Right.
But sometimes people kick and fight that decision.
Oh, yeah.
And it ends up, again, making those ripples in the water that make things kind of unclear. And then there's misunderstandings and discomfort, and your tattoo isn't going to be as good.
I've had customers come in, like some older ladies, and they're like, "Hey, can I see your colors that you have?" And I'm like, "Why?" "Well, I want this colored." I'm like, "So what colors do you like? What colors do you want it?" "Well, I want to see what colors you have." And all right, first off, if you don't know the colors already in your head, then you shouldn't be picking the colors.
Yeah.
Second off, if you look at my bottles of ink, that's what they look like in a plastic bottle. That's not what they look like 5 layers under the skin.
Right.
It's going to be different. You're taking into different pigmentations of skin into play and all this other stuff. And
I'll have to adjust, even if you wanted a lime green, and I have a lime green, because of your skin color, I might need to lighten that. I might need to lighten that lime green up a little bit to get it what you think it's going to look like because you saw it in the bottle.
Exactly.
So it's a lot easier. You tell me what you want, and then I can make it happen rather than you pick something out of the bottle because, and then go,
that doesn't look like I thought it would. Like, well, I mean, yeah.
How would
I didn't
you know
what you were trying to figure out because you didn't tell me.
Right.
And aren't a lot of those manufacturers, maybe it's not, for a while there, it seemed like the trend was to put them in, they're not clear bottles.
Well, the bottles I use are clear. I use Eternal
they typically are.
But like for red, for example, there's 20 friggin' reds. There's Dusty Rose, there's this, there's maroon, there's dark, there's light, there's this shade, there's dirt blood. And you honestly have no idea what that's going to look like in skin unless you've done it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're probably going to, in some cases, you're going to wash it.
Some things I'm washing and mixing.
You're
You're
making,
absolutely.
And I always try to explain it to people. It's like oil paint.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, I want this color. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they can mix it up to make it look like that.
Well, yeah, they're like, why'd you leave that white spot in the eyeball? Well, because I'm going to come back and put a dot of white right there to make the eye look wet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't get it. And then you do it, and they're like, oh, that's what that was for. Like, yeah, that's what that was for. I can't do it at the beginning of the tattoo because it'll get all muddy and gross. So I have to do it at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Just trust me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, depending on the skin tone, like I said, you have to adjust. And just from you have done it before, and you've got to go, okay, she's kind of this skin tone. She wants it that kind of green, so I need to do the color this way. So after it heals out, because of her skin tone, it's going to get as close to that as you can guess.
Yeah,
because really that's what it is.
Exactly. And we've all done yellow and white, and they're like, "Why is it red?" Well, because you're bleeding.
Yeah, because it's
the last thing we just did.
Yeah,
and it's bleeding the most because it's what I just did.
Right. Yeah,
and
it's really it's a guessing game.
Absolutely.
To a point, but it's a very educated guess the more you've done it.
The more you've done it.
And if you don't believe me, well, if you've got a color tattoo and you've been in the sun and gotten tan and then lost your tan,
you know what I'm talking about.
The colors in your tattoo change.
Yep.
Because it's, you're looking through a darker layer of skin. Yeah. So you're mixing in those brown tones into whatever color is there.
Right.
So, that's why, man, tell us just what you want, and we'll get you as close as your body and technology will allow us to do. But
and no color hurts more than another color.
Yeah.
The light colors like yellows and whites, they hurt more because it's the last thing I'm doing, and you're raw.
Yeah.
If I started out doing the white first, it wouldn't be as painful because which you can't do because you'll muddy it. But like it won't hurt no more than the black or whatever the first color we used is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just where you're at in the process.
If there was a color that we used after white, that would be the one that hurts the worst. It wouldn't be because of the color. It is.
No, well,
it's just the order in which you do it.
My buddy Julius is like, he's like, I hate yellow because he's a tan guy, and yellow's the lightest color we can use that shows up, on him as a bright color. And he's always like, God, I hate yellow. It hurts so bad. I'm like, well, it's because it's the last color we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this black and gray. Then I've done dark red over it to a light red to a pink to an orange down to a yellow. Like I've gone over that piece of skin 7 times, dude. And of course it hurts.
Yeah, or been very
It doesn't matter what color I put on it. It hurts.
Yeah, that's just part of it.
Yeah.
Because your pain receptors continue. They'll go through you get kind of this the way your
coaster kind of.
Yeah, because your body will kick in those endorphins.
Right. But towards the end of it,
it's
raw.
Where
it
your tolerance and your
focus
and your endurance is a good word for it.
Yeah.
That starts to fall off, then your pain centers are just going, hey.
Well, yeah. And after you've worked that area, however long back in the start of the tattoo or however many times during that tattoo, like it's raw. It's a controlled abrasion is what a tattoo is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going back in a controlled abrasion and you're hitting this one last thing like, ow,
and
man.
you're jumping around typically with white, which really can make the tattoo, really step it up and really make it pop.
But you're highlighting a toenail that you shaded 6 hours ago.
It's like I think of a bunch of these pain receptors in those areas, just like panting and kind of sweating, like, oh man, we've been going off and off, so we're starting to chill, but man, we don't have much left. And then, what
are you doing? Yeah.
They're just extra irritated because they're so tired and over it.
Because if I finished the tattoo as I went up, everything I did above it and wiped down would contaminate what the colors that I have. Like That's why we have to jump around and do that. It's not because we're being mean.
Yeah.
It's just the way it has to be applied.
And part of it is that your body's not designed or has not evolved in a way to have massive trauma redone over and over again.
No.
Your body's ready to go. Hey,
when you skint your knee,
it's time for us to send in the cleaning crew to get rid of all this debris that you've created, so that we can start rebuilding.
Yeah.
So you don't bleed to death. So going back in that same area and causing that, it's your body's like, what the?
Yeah. If you skin your knee, skateboarding, and you go home and clean it.
Didn't you hear me?
Yeah.
Then you go back out skateboarding and skin that same knee in the same spot. You're gonna be like, oh my God. But it's
I
horrible.
always try to explain this to people when they come back and they've lost the jewelry the day after the piercing or something's happened.
Oh yeah.
Or they went in for surgery they were unaware of or something, and they'll come back like 2 days later and they're like, "Could you just put the needle through that little small part in the center?" So if I do that, you're gonna have longer healing period. There's a possibility of us contaminating the wound further. And we're going to cause so much trauma, it's going to swell up to 3 times normal size.
Absolutely.
You're going to be miserable.
You thought it was mad the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you thought I was mean the first time. Wait till this time happens. You're going to think I'm awful.
And your body's going to go, no,
and
don't do this.
Contrary to your belief, a lot of us, we don't want to hurt you any more than we have to. Like, it sucks that we have to hurt you to do it.
The less in pain you are, the easier it is for me to do my job.
Yeah. We
want customers to stop asking us to hurt them more.
Well, the more I know I'm hurting you, the harder it is for me to do my job correctly.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hurt you, man. It sucks. If it was me there being you, I don't want to be hurt either. Like, it sucks.
We're humans. We have empathy.
Yeah, dude.
It hurts everybody, but the people that lie the best about it hurting while I'm doing it, I love them. It's because lie to me, tell me stories about how it feels like little puppy kisses.
Yeah, afterwards you can say it was horrible, but
because I know.
Yeah, while I'm doing it,
it hurts. But I appreciate you lying and easing my, easing the fact that I know I have to semi-torture you to make this look good for both of our sakes. But
and we're going to try to do it as smoothly and quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like I said, the more comfortable you are, the less you move, the more the better everything goes.
The better I feel about it.
The more I can relax and know that during this critical part that you're not going to move. That really sets my mind at ease and allows me to go faster and better results.
Yep.
Plus, the clients that are waiting in the waiting room.
Yeah, they don't run out as often.
They don't run out as often when you're not when somebody's back there screaming and yelling.
Exactly.
And I get that a lot because a lot of people will come in as groups.
Yeah.
Mother, daughters, best friends, whatever. They're all getting the same piercing, and it never fails. I try to talk them out of it, but the person that's wound up the most about getting it done wants to go last.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of times I've noticed over the years, I'll do the piercing and I know the person's like, yeah, that fucking hurt, but they will lie about it to make sure that the other one
sucker in their
everybody
friends.
else is bad, they're traumatizing them more before they get it. It's already worked up.
They know it isn't so bad that it's not worth the piercing, but they know if they actually tell them what it feels like,
they're not going to do it.
Their friend's not going to get it done.
See, no, I get that for the same reason maybe, but opposite, because you'll have this nervous person waiting second, and the first person will be like, no, it's really not that bad.
See, it's not bad.
It's really not that bad. And they're like, you're lying,
They're like,
no.
Then they get in the chair and they're like, oh, this isn't that bad. And they're like, I told you it did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's a good point. It's almost just like, get that one done first.
Yeah, just knock it out. Just do it.
Or, have somebody lie good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I always try to knock out the most nervous person first. And just basically because they want to, I'm like, nobody wants to sit there and watch somebody else go through that. And then sit there the whole time thinking about it. It's like it'd be like getting stuck at the top of the roller coaster for like 3 hours.
Yeah, if you were terrified of heights or whatever.
Watching all these people go through, like maybe somehow there's 2 tracks, and watching all these other people scream and yell and go
right.
And there's it goes in one of those tunnels, so you don't know what's down there, and you're just sitting up there waiting.
Yep, just building suspense.
And it's just going to build that anxiety.
As you hear every scream of everyone else that's gone down the hill.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And here's a few things that you guys probably can't talk as much because you don't work on the phone. You just get to hear about it from Jess.
Thank God.
Thank you.
Here's my number one thing that I will ask my clients to stop doing. That's calling up, asking a question as soon as I'm about a third of the way through answering the question, immediately hanging up. Then 20 minutes later, calling back, asking the additional information I would have given you if he wouldn't have hung up. The other thing is she's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. I've had phone calls, and I understand sometimes you don't think about it the first time you talk to the person, and you go, oh, well, I never asked him that, or I never asked her that. But there's some people that they'll literally call up and ask a question, hang up before you finish, and they will call back 4, 5 times, or they will show up. Like they'll call up and say, do you guys do walk-ins? And my reply to that is, yes, I do walk-ins when I have time. Click. Well, what they missed out on is I don't have any time available today. And if you want to set up an appointment, the way you can make sure you get in is to actually go to the website and set that up.
Right.
The other thing is that I may have that 30 minutes empty right now, but I could hang up this phone and 2 minutes later, somebody either walks in the door before you or somebody sets up an appointment online, because that happens all the time. The only way I can guarantee, but they don't listen to that. So then they show up later and they're mad because we don't have the time available to do it.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot.
Another thing is, and this goes out to everybody, clients and anybody else, is learn how to say goodbye at the end of your conversation.
Let's learn how to talk on the phone again. Say goodbye at the end and hang up.
That's something I don't know where it stopped being a thing.
It's either dead air or they just hang right up on you.
They hang up.
And if you want to level up on those people that say goodbye, say thank you.
Exactly.
Goodbye. Yep.
I tell you what, the world would be a better place.
Oh, man, it's awesome.
I usually like to end my conversations with wishing them to have a good day.
Yeah.
Or I'm
like to get hung up on before that.
I'm looking forward to seeing you, what have you.
Like us old folks do, I suppose.
Yeah, instead of
fuddy-duddies.
How much is it for blah, 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 blah? It's $75. Click. Okay.
If you use this, then it's $50 if you use that.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot more to it than that.
I'm not AI, mother.
Yeah, and also the other thing, it's rare that you can actually price a tattoo on the phone.
Yeah, usually not.
Send me a picture, baby.
Yeah, 99.9% of the time. I can't give you an accurate estimate over the phone. I don't know what your body structure looks like. I don't know what I'm working with. I don't know where it's going. I don't know how you're planning in your head of how you want it, your idea of it, until I see you and talk to you.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
And two things is that emails work better with this because of an ongoing record.
Right.
Yeah, I can look back and see where this
and I can check.
Helps so much.
Opposed to a conversation I had with you.
You send me a picture of your arm where you're thinking and what you got in mind. Like, I can work with that.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you're like on the phone, you're going, I want just like a little bit of tribal. Not a lot, just a little, but kind of to fill up some spot, but not all of it.
Should take like an hour.
How long is it going to take? I'm thinking it's only going to take 30 minutes. Like, cool. When's the last time you did a tattoo? Well, never.
Exactly.
Then how do you know how long it's going to take?
Yeah.
But it's a simple tattoo.
That happened to me in Virginia one time.
What's a simple tattoo?
There is no
happened to
such
me in
thing
Virginia.
as a simple tattoo.
A guy called and just harassed me on the phone just over and how much is it going to cost? I got some tribal that was outlined. It's not a lot, just a little bit. I just want to get it filled in. So I'm like, well, it's $125 an hour. Depends on how many hours it's going to take. If you come in, I can take a look. I can let you know. Mm-hmm. So he comes in after all this rigmarole, and he's like, you told me an hour. And I'm like, no, I said it's $125 an hour.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and his whole arm from his knuckles to his neck is outlined in tribal, but not filled in.
He's like George.
And I'm like, I can't color all that in an hour, dude. That's not going to happen. And he wanted to argue. Well, you said an hour. Whoever was on the phone said an hour. I said, no. I gave you. It was me that was on the phone. And I told you how much it was an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you come in, I can tell you how many hours it would take.
It's probably, I bet that was the same guy that sued Red Bull because it didn't give him wings.
Maybe.
Like, well, you said it, give me wings, bro.
Maybe. I jumped off this building and I splatted.
Yeah. You're always going to have those clients, and that's not the norm, but it does happen. Enough to
these
kind
are
of
comical experiences that happens. But.
Yeah, it makes you think twice sometimes, on how to approach certain things.
Well, it's how we evolved to okay, I don't feel comfortable giving you a price on the phone because that's bit me.
Exactly.
Trying to be helpful many times before. I'm not trying to be a dick.
Somebody call up and go, I want a really simple font. I want 4 letters. And they'll go, that should take fucking half an hour.
Then they come in and they want it across their chest or their back or something.
Yeah, they want some huge piece or they want some really elaborate form, and it's like that's not a $50 tattoo. That's a
Yeah, I mean, I've had them come in, have you got time for a quick tattoo? I'm like, yeah, sure, stop by and let's see. I got like 45 minutes in here. And they'll come in with like a picture of like the Sistine Chapel, the creation of man. I want this like on my back. And I'm like, that's not a quick tattoo, dude. That's like 80 hours
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
You know, quick tattoo.
You can't do it in 45 minutes? No. I can't even put the stencil on you in 45 minutes, hardly.
Can't prepare for that.
And I have to say that many of the terrible tattoos I've seen over the years,
It's because of that.
started with, it was a quick, simple tattoo.
Absolutely.
Started with those 3 words, and it was done really quickly,
Yep.
really simple, as in not very detailed or very well. And yeah, it was a tattoo.
I got one.
I think the reason that happens is because the fact that they want a tattoo at least a little bit outweighs what they care it looks like at
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then afterwards, after they get it, they're like, well, that's not very good, and forget that they did every choice to make sure that they ended up with that bad tattoo.
Right. I think if I had to ask customers not to do anything, this is customers or potential customers. When I go out and you've gotten a tattoo and you're like, well, what do you think of this tattoo?
I hate that.
I hate that loaded question because, like, I don't know if you like it. Do you want me to praise it, or do you think it's bad and you want to cover it up? Because, like, I've done that. I put my foot in my mouth both ways.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Like, oh, what do you think about this? Well, you know, no problem. I can cover that up. Come on by the shop. Well, I think it's cool. I'm like,
Right.
oh, well, yeah, all right, it's awesome.
That
My buddy did it for like a 6-pack in the basement.
And he
I'm like,
died 2 years ago,
okay,
and
like,
you know, there's always a big long. That's why I got to the point. I'm
you
like,
feel like a jerk, but
yeah,
Yeah, well, I just shoot it honest. You know, I don't powder coat it either way, but I'm not rude either. You know,
Right.
and if it's, you know, whatever, I'll be like, it looks, you know, overall it's good. You know,
Yeah.
it could be tightened up a little though. You know, it's a little bit faded. You know, and you know, because of course it is.
or the classic, how much would you charge me for this? I paid $20 for it. Like, well,
like, and
I
that's
wouldn't
a
have done
hard
it
one
that
too
way.
because for me to make it look like that, $6, $7.
right. But if you hadn't done like the way it should have been done, like, you know, probably $200 or $300, maybe.
Yeah, that's a very unfair question. Like somebody brings in a Ferrari dealer, this broken down Datsun. How much would it, you know, cost you to make this Datsun? And they're like, we don't make Datsuns. I would have no idea how long or what it would cost because I don't.
Yeah, I don't have a clue, man.
I don't build cars that way. I have no idea what that is, you know. But if you like Datsuns, there's a guy down the road
that does Datsuns.
Builds Datsuns all day long.
Bill Datsun, he'll fix you up.
Fast ones even.
and that's why I got to the point where when people would show me new tattoos, I'd be like, yeah, it's a tattoo.
That's what I try to do. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. or I'll just try to deflect it by going, who did it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so then I don't have to judge anything about it, and I don't have to say anything.
Because they want to trap you.
And if they keep up with it, I'll go, have you licked your finger and ran it across it? And they're like, why? I go, did it rub off?
Nope, then it's a tattoo.
Then it's a
Congratulations.
tattoo.
You nailed it.
Congratulations.
Guy nailed it.
Because I got so sick of seeing terrible tattoos.
I've gotten better at it, but like back in the day, man, when I was young, I'd step into it every time at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
it was
every
always
time.
in the bar, and it was always somebody that you never met before.
Never met before, and they've been drinking all day or whatever, and like you don't know really how to approach them because they've come up to you, hey, so you got a lot of tattoos. What do you think about this one? Like,
you know, I just the easiest way I think to get, you know, to make sure that doesn't turn into a judging situation on either side is to go, you know, hey, what do you think about this? Go, nice. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
yeah,
Man. I think you did a great job.
Killed it. Like
not
that
really.
that's awesome or whatever.
You know, and then you can go from there. But, you know, oh, yeah, cool, man.
One
Is that
thing
what you wanted? Is that what you're going
and
for?
with piercings, I always do, I'll do the, do you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll also go, I mean, it looks fine. You know, if you're happy with it, that's all that matters.
That's the same thing, yeah.
And I'll ask, you know, who did it? And then I'll ask, well, what was that experience like?
Yep.
Right.
And that's where I'll leave it at. I don't. I'm not here. This is, and maybe it's the tattoo judging shows that have created this problem.
Maybe.
I don't.
Maybe.
I'm not gonna. I'm
not critiquing other people's
stuff. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how what kind of answer they want really, because it might be a nice tattoo, but it's too small.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the area. It should
Right.
be bigger, and it should have a background. Right now, it looks like you got it out of a machine and you just stuck it on, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, how far do you want me to take
Right.
this critique, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It could be a perfectly done tattoo.
I've had
It could look great, and I could be like, wow, this is really incredible. I'm going to check this
they don't
person
like
out.
it.
And they might not like it.
Right.
But it's really, I mean, do you want like a full-on critique because you're really curious, or
Like,
are you
what exactly
trying
you
to make sure that you know I'm an asshole because you know that I'm going to cut it down, even though you've convinced yourself it's fine? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's
Right.
like it's a loaded,
It's a loaded
question
question.
kind
Are
of.
you still on the same fence where you're not sure if it is worth it.
Yeah,
or
maybe
if
they're
Right.
trying to like.
Yeah, you
they're
don't
just
know
kind
if
of
it's
fishing.
exactly. That's always the kind of the uncomfortable.
That's why asking them, did they do what you wanted? Is that what you wanted? It kind of takes that power away.
Yeah.
Either going to say yes or no. So yeah, I mean, if that's what you wanted and they did everything you wanted,
Then
even though maybe
awesome.
I would look at it different or have done it different,
Yeah, it
that doesn't
matter.
make it a bad tattoo.
Right.
Yeah, because
So,
doesn't matter what I think.
Even a crappy tattoo can accept. It can represent something great in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's not about what
Who's
it looks
to pass
like.
judgment on art, man? It's art.
Yeah, sometimes the tattoos you have, they could be the crappiest, but they could be done by someone and at a time that meant something so special that none of the other tattoos even come close to what
Right.
that one means to you.
Exactly.
So it's not always about that. So yeah, asking someone, well, what do you think of this tattoo is kind of unfair.
It is.
It's-
Because I've covered stuff up on customers like black out my sleeve, and I'm like, "Are you serious? That is beautiful.
yeah,
That's one of the best sleeves I've ever seen." Yeah, well, I hate it. Like, okay,
yeah.
I want to give you what you want, but I'm thinking like, "Holy crap,
And
that's a beautiful tattoo."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to wonder if it's a situation where they just hate that part of their life. If they're trying to
Maybe.
get past it.
Because it is a timestamp of your life. It's
Yeah,
a time
if
capsule.
something
so to
happened during
speak.
that period of time, or there's
Could be negative
Or they
or
want-
whatever.
else.
you know?
Or they have ill will against the person who did it for whatever
Yeah.
reason, maybe
Yeah.
personal, and they want to sit there and bash them, and because they think, oh, this is another tattoo artist, we can bash on so and so together, and we
Like,
can
yeah.
bond over
Not
it or something. I
participating.
don't know.
Like
Yeah.
I'm here to secretly, and I've had people call me up on the phone, and I've often wondered whether or not, because I know that some of my competition price checks me on a regular basis, which is kind of silly because if any of you ever listen to this, go to my website. It's all listed right there. You don't have to call.
It's cool. They're all listed.
I've always been straight forward with my pricing from the very beginning.
Yep.
It just seems simple and easy, and why mess with it? But I wonder with the tattooing thing, sometimes I get the vibe like they'll come in and they'll start asking me about other piercers in town, which I know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah, me either. I
I
don't even know how to fund
maybe
here.
talked to them in passing at some bar at 5 years ago.
Right.
And they might have mentioned they worked at that other place. I don't know them beyond that. And if
Yeah.
I've seen any of their work, it's usually not the best example of their work. It's
because they're coming to me.
Because they're coming to you, yeah.
Because it's usually, they took out the initial piece that they did it with and went to the mall and got one of those really crappy things at Hot Topic, opened up one of those packages and stuffed it in, and now it's all screwed up. That doesn't say anything about the person who did it.
No.
But I get this vibe that they want me to talk crap.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like I don't,
Yeah, again, they just want a buddy to
Yeah.
bash on other people because maybe they think that's camaraderie building or something. But I learned pretty early on to, not engage in that because the only, and if, other artists, they were in another shop and another artist was talking about you,
Yeah.
most of the time you hear that person comment on how that was really not cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're right, which they're not in my case, but even if they're right, it makes the person spouting the bullshit look like that's all you can do to compete.
Yeah, don't
You
don't
can't.
participate.
Your work can't keep up or say that you're better than them. So you've got to just say
up with
verbally,
something
"Well,
else.
I know they tattoo really good. So, but boy, they're short, or
Yeah.
oh, they're
Yeah.
ugly, or
Yeah,
something
whatever.
so
They bumped into
dumb
me at Walmart.
that it makes you
Yeah.
suffer more from that and spreading rumors or
Yeah.
getting into that whole side of it than just concentrating on what you do it the best of your ability
Yeah.
and let people have
Well, that's
their
what I
opinion.
love about our studio is we're $125 an hour for us, for the kids, and we go by the hour. It works out better. I don't feel like I'm getting, I'm overcutting myself. The customer isn't getting overcharged or undercharged. Everybody gets what they paid for, and I love that. But like you'll have that customer, okay, well, what if I just want a word or whatever? Like, well, however long it takes, divided by the hour, that's what it is. Well, what if I just want like a dot? I'm like, well, there's a shop minimum.
Yeah.
And it's whatever. X.
Why is it so
let's say
much?
let's say it's $60. Well, what if I just want a dot? Well, it's $60. That's the cheapest it takes me to set up and do something on you.
Yeah.
But it's just a dot. There's a
Yeah.
minimum, dude. It's just the way it works.
uses
Like
the same amount. Of
and why are you
stuff.
trying to
Yeah.
figure out what the cheapest thing you can get is? This is a tattoo. It lasts for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you even asking?
And luckily, I think
We don't have that here.
we
but
that we avoid a lot of that.
absolutely.
Not only because we stay pretty busy, and a lot of times people that want quick, cheap stuff, if they can't get in immediately, they're not going to wait. They're
Right.
going to find the easiest way to get it.
I love that with our customers because they're like, even if you have a hard console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, kind of fighting you a little bit on it. And you're like, well, I can do it if you want me to do it. If you don't, that's cool too, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they go up and, okay, well, let's schedule it. Can I do it like next week? And like, oh, no. He's scheduled out for like 2 more months. And they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that want me to work on them. You're not the only one.
Yeah, it's almost, it's like you go to the car lot and there's, a really neat looking car on the lot and you're like, that's pretty cool, man. I like that. And you're playing all coy with a person trying to sell it to you, like, trying to get them to come down on it, and they're being really stubborn and you're like, man, what the hell? But you're like, all right, I'll take it. And they're like, oh, yeah, those don't come in for another year and a half.
Because I've sold that many.
And it should instantly kind of make you feel a little silly about dillying and dallying over something that, unless you really want it, or have to, even if, you're not going to get it.
That's what the consults and the deposits and all that, it really cuts a lot of that out.
Yeah, yeah.
But like in a street shop, man, back in the day, boy, people were bad about it, like hemming and hawing. I'm like, well, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. And they're like, well, I guess I'll let you do it. And I'm like, cool, well, I'm booked out for 3 months. Oh, this will be 3 months before I can get it. Well, yeah, you're not the only person I tattoo, man. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, there were people in the line ahead of you.
Can I get in time now? Because you can put it in now, because if you wait, it's going to get further.
Yeah, yeah. And that sucks as much for me to tell you that as
absolutely
it is for you to have to wait.
I want to get you in as quick as possible, but this is what it is.
Yeah, until they make that multiplier machine, you jump in and you can print yourself.
Yeah, I could use a couple more of me.
And it's hard to turn away clients. I don't care who you are.
My wife says no.
I agree. Yeah, that's why I have her.
Yeah.
Because I put myself in situations where I hang myself.
But poor her, man. If we duplicated ourselves, imagine her nightmare of keeping up with us.
Nah,
the three of us is rough enough as it is.
Jack 1, Jack 2.
She can take it. I just ask her. She's a tough one, man. But I don't know if there's anything else I don't want people to do.
We covered it pretty
a lot
good.
of stuff, and I think there's a lot of good advice for anybody, especially those who are new.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of advice to those artists out there that I do know listen to kind of coping with some of those situations, because we all come across them.
Yeah, hopefully we come up with some
basis.
good ideas.
Yeah, stress is a funny thing. When you're stressed out and you come in to get a tattoo, it can make you act funny, and it can make you kind of, not be yourself. And, we get that part of it, but really we're not as scary as we seem.
No, we're teddy bears.
We're just here because you want to get a tattoo and we like to do it.
Absolutely.
So, but just be cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Just be cool.
Sit back, relax.
I hope to see all of you soon.
Say, bitch, be cool.
Just sit
Bitch,
back.
be cool, honey bunny.
Just sit back and
It's got to be like Fonzie. And what's Fonzie?
Soothing voice.
Cool.
Take over.
And let the bad man poke you.
I know.
Yeah, man,
and
we're pretty
that's
relaxing.
kind of what I've always had a fault. You greet people as soon as they come in, you put them in a good mood, and then you give them enough information and enough consistency that they get calm by the end.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's so easy to do when you love what you do.
Yeah.
And I guess it just makes sense to me if I'm sitting there and I'm doing something fun and cool and that I like to do. Don't you want to be happy with me?
Right. Yeah, I want you to be
let's be happy together.
Yeah, I want you to be as happy being here as I am about being
I
here.
did think of one thing that does bug me.
Okay.
And that is, I'm not here to sell you to get a piercing.
Yeah, true. Very true.
If you want a piercing, I'm going to give you all the facts you need.
Yeah.
And if you're unsure about it, I'm going to say, hey, come back when you're sure.
Yeah.
I'm not here to convince you to get it.
Oh, I've had clients recently get a little angry with me about it, and they're like, "What you saying? I'm like, I shouldn't get it done." I'm like, "No, I'm just saying that you're not telling me you want to get it done." And I'm trying to basically, I go, I just want to give you enough educated information and let you know that I'm not going anywhere and I'm not going to pressure you. When in reality, what I'm thinking in my mind is there's 8 other things I could be doing right now than sitting here for the next 25 minutes and trying to convince you to do something you already want to do. But for one reason or another, today is not the day to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing I would.
And I don't want to do something to you you're going to regret later and not be happy
Exactly.
with.
Yeah, then I'm
take
going
out 20 minutes afterwards. Or
at the end of the day, whether it's true or not, I'm responsible for how you feel after you make this decision. And if you're wandering back and forth and I take it upon myself to encourage you to get it, and then after the fact we both know that I encouraged you to get it when we both know you weren't really sure you wanted it, then guess whose fault it is? Yeah, I don't need that kind of pressure, man.
Yeah, man.
That's not my job.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
need that kind of karma.
That's your parents'
I
job.
want to tattoo you.
Absolutely.
But only if you want to get
Right.
tattooed.
Yep.
If you don't, it takes all the fun out of it, and it
Totally.
just builds the stress. And
Then
man.
it gets creepy.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah. There's we
There's
we
a
ain't here for
consent
that
problem.
vibe, dog.
Nah, man.
So
We
yeah,
ain't here to be canceled.
cancel me.
I know tattoo
I
pusher.
think that on that fun-filled note, if you liked this, enjoyed it, what have you, please give us a thumbs up, share with other people, because that's how we grow. And hey, sharing's good for you. Makes you feel better.
Yeah, share.
Yeah, it's nice. It'll make you feel
If you haven't subscribe where you're listening or watching. Hit that subscription so you don't miss any episodes. These usually come out every 2 weeks.
And remember, next episode will be no pants episode, where none of us will be wearing pants. So make sure
nobody wants to see
you
that.
catch that one.
That's going to be interesting.
Nobody wants to see that.
No.
Nah, I don't.
Trust me, you're gonna want to see it.
Okay.
They're going to pay you to put it on.
You're gonna want to see it. You will.
Just remember
You're
you
gonna.
asked for that.
You're gonna.
That'll be the day that I wear the tighty whities, because if it's going to be that uncomfortable, I'll have to go out and buy a pair.
No, well, I'll tell you after the cameras are off how we're gonna make it the best episode ever.
Anyway,
Surprise.
with that all said, when you're thinking of clothing, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. Till next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings will ease in without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see if your body piercing and tattooing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Love you guys.
Don't pick at it.
Be nice.
Don't pick at it.